That's it. There is a new time capsule, but we're not doing it.
Quarter in it.
We're just gonna put it back in there and close up. So we have it all.
Care about that.
I didn't see that. Well, we can take it, that's the important one. We can either take it outside or we can take it inside. The plaque is outside, it's on, it's already on there.
I know, right?
So I don't know which one to do.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Hello? Marlon, can you hear me? Marlon!
Well, let's go out here. Let's go out.
We're ready. Okay. Go ahead, Sherry.
Regular meeting of Washington, Missouri City Council, Monday, December 18th, 2023, 7 p.m. Bear,
Here.
Briggs, Coulter,
Here.
Heidrich,
Here.
Holtmeyer,
Here.
Patke,
Here.
Reed,
Here.
Wessels.
Here.
Please rise for a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will all the council members answer if they have or have not read the minutes of the council meeting dated December 4th, 2023? Bear,
Yes.
Coulter,
Yes.
Heidrich,
Aye.
Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Patke,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Wessels.
Aye. Need a motion, guys,
Move
to...
we approve.
Second. Motion by Wessels, second by Heidrich. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Approval is approved.
Approval and adjustment of agenda, including consent agenda. You have the final payment request for the city auditorium roof, payment request for Jefferson Street roadway and ADA compliance project.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Holtmeyer. Who missed? Heidrich. Second by Heidrich. Any discussion, guys, on the consent? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Priority items, mayor's presentations, appointments and reappointments, police department appointments.
Good evening, council. As I had stated in my letter, I have two individuals tonight for appointment for full-time police officers. One is Randy Helmig, the other is Tyler Bounds. Randy is a longtime Franklin County resident. He's fresh out of the academy, graduated Thursday. So
That's fresh.
fresh, very fresh. Yep. And then Tyler's been in law enforcement for several years, has some experience with the Mexico, Missouri Department of Public Safety and the Warren County's Prosecuting Attorney's Office, correct? Yep. Okay, so I wholeheartedly recommend both of them for appointment as police officers.
I'll make a motion if there's no other questions.
Second.
Motion by Heidrich, second by Patke. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Welcome to Washington, Randy, Tyler.
Thanks, guys.
Sergeant, take
Does that mean we're at full? Does that mean we're full then?
One down.
Still one?
I'd just like to formally recognize you two for the work that you've done for getting the plaque and the, what's the little box called again? Time capsule, thank you. So, you guys have put in way, way above and beyond the call for what would normally be expected, so thank you. Katie, do you want to say anything? John, you too, you're welcome.
John and I have had a good time actually doing this. Thank you for the privilege of being part of it. We're excited that it's almost over, though, I think. Have it done before the end of the 100th year. So congratulations to the City of Washington on behalf of both John and I, and thank you again for the privilege of being a part of this project.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for not letting him talk, Katie. I appreciate that.
I knew there was a comment coming.
He'd still be talking.
Public hearings, annexation, Stonebridge Development Phase 2.
All right. And I apologize, Sarah Skeen actually is out sick today, so you got me one more time for the planning and zoning items. So, your first agenda item tonight under the public hearings is an annexation for Phase 2 of the Stonebridge development, and there is a preliminary plat later on the agenda as well. But as for this, it's a request for a voluntary annexation of 18.72 acres, just east of Rabbit Trail here and just north of the new East-West Parkway. So if you've been out there, that is already being put in, and you can see the grading actually going on in this location. So the request is to bring it into city limits as R1D, single-family residential. You can see the hatched area is also R1D, so it matches the surrounding area, and that is single-family with a minimum lot size of 7,500 square feet. So very compatible with the surrounding properties. And Planning and Zoning reviewed this last week and voted unanimously to approve it.
Later on in your packet, you've got the preliminary plat, but that's
Yeah.
later under boards and commission reports.
Discussion? Okay. We need a motion, I guess, to accept in the minutes, please.
So moved. Anybody here?
Public consent, okay. Would anyone like to comment from the public on the development? Okay. Made a motion, and do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Bear. All those in favor to accept it in the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
An ordinance annexing 18.72 acres off Beaker Road into the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Petke.
Introduced by Petke. Any further discussion, you guys? Okay, let's vote.
An ordinance annexing 18.72 acres off Beaker Road into the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Coulter?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
By your vote, 3B passes, annexation.
Special use permit 335 Rand Street.
All right, your second public hearing tonight is for a request for a special use permit for short-term lodging located at 335 Rand Street. You can see here with the blue pin, it is in the R2 overlay zone district, so as of August of this year, it is in the appropriate zone district for short-term rental with a special use permit. With the new rules, you also implemented with the 150-foot buffer from any existing short-term rental. So you can see here, our GIS map shows where the existing are in the region, so it's outside of the buffer, so it does meet the requirements. And you can see here on the aerial, it is a corner lot, so it does have more parking than most on these narrow lots in the downtown area. So it does have parking on James and Rand available. And it does have alley access. As of right now, I'll show you in the picture. So here's some street view. See Rand and James. There's not currently access here through the alley for parking in the rear. The applicant did state that they may be making those improvements in the future, so they could add additional parking. As for the actual review, this was one of the properties that was caught by our third-party reporting system, Granicus, for a short-term rental. It was listed on either VRBO or Airbnb. That was how it was caught in our system without having properly been registered. So they're coming into conformance. We had not received any complaints about it. We actually did not know it was in operation until we found it with the system. So I think that it still falls under our a recommendation of approval in the sense that it's not a detriment to the surrounding properties, especially since it's been operating since 2021 without any major complaints. With that being said, the Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval of this. There was discussion, however, and they had alluded to the fact that it's not Planning and Zoning's position, but Chad had brought up at the meeting, and since he's not here, I'll bring it up on his behalf, about the requirement for paying back taxes. And the Planning and Zoning Commission, kind of agreed that that was necessary, but not necessarily their place. And so after talking to Piontek, it is something that City Council can require as a condition of approval on this. So it can move forward with a condition that back taxes are paid on the property for the time it was in operation for the tourism tax. And then once that's paid, then they can have their license be officially valid. But with that all being said, the Planning and Zoning Commission did vote unanimously to approve it.
Sal, is the applicant aware of that?
They were at the meeting last week, yes. That was the first time it got brought up, but yes.
I'm sorry, did you say how much the
Well,
bed
so-
taxes would be?
We use that third-party system, Granicus, and it had an estimate based off of times blocked off on different websites, and they do that for all of our units, and they give us a range of what to expect on our bed tax. In this particular property, it said since it first came online in 2021 to as of this month, they anticipated estimated $74,155 of revenue. So if you take that by 5%, that is $33,707.75 for the bed tax. So that would be based off of that system's estimate.
Well, that certainly seems reasonable to me. Yeah.
Mark, is that something that they can add as a condition on the ordinance?
Yeah, it should be a condition of the special use permit that we work out an agreement on the back lodging tax.
And so does the condition need to state the exact dollar amount, or just that a
No,
agreement is?
just that we work out
Okay.
an agreement on the back lodging tax.
More questions or discussions, guys?
So do we need to amend something to put that in there, or is that
Yes.
there?
Well, that's your next agenda item. First, this is the hearing, so in case you might want to open the floor, see if there's any questions
Absolutely.
or comments.
Okay. Would anyone in the audience like to comment on this issue? Okay.
So my wife and I are the ones who own,
I'm sorry, can you state your name and address, please?
yeah, it's Marcus Melita, 335 Range Street is the property in discussion. We didn't know there was a special use permit. As soon as we were aware of it, we came to the planning and zoning last week, so, you know, we do our best to, you know, abide by everything and, you know, keep the ordinance down, the noise level and all that stuff. We actually employ two of the surrounding neighbors. One comes clean, one's a handyman, so it's not like a get-rich type deal. It's, so, just kind of letting you know that we weren't aware that we were violating anything, so.
And how did you become aware of that?
It was a letter that we
Yeah,
received from.
that's, our system caught 3 in particular that were operating illegally, so they were one of the 3.
So, and are you aware too, I guess this came up earlier in our department head meeting, that there is an occupancy inspection, or an inspection by our building department that has to go through? I didn't know if you were aware of that, to make sure that.
Yeah, so whenever you get your license, yeah, they would have told, when you get your business license, they'll require proof of inspection, and then it's just every short-term rental, when you get it renewed every year, they ask for proof of reinspection.
Okay.
Yep.
What is your feelings on the back charges as discussed earlier? You're aware of that?
Yeah, we were brought aware of it last meeting, and I mean, that's something absolutely we'll take care of. We're not trying to lie or get over anything, so. Again, we weren't aware of it, so, you know, here we are trying to get in, I guess, line and, you know, in accordance with everything, so,
Marcus, you guys live in Pacific, is that correct?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just building a house actually at the moment, so,
Okay.
Appreciate you going along with all of these
yeah.
issues that you weren't aware of before.
Yeah, so we appreciate it, and we really enjoy the town, so we actually come out quite a bit. Go to gymnastics in town and everything else, so.
Thank you. Other questions or discussions, you guys? All right, need a motion to accept it in the minutes.
Make a motion.
Motion by Holtmeyer, second by Coulter. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Go ahead, Sherry.
An ordinance granting a special use permit to utilize 335 Rand Street as a vacation rental in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Introduced by Holtmeyer.
Now you need to add a condition on the lodging tax.
Yeah, then I would move we do add a condition that concerning the recovery of back taxes.
Back bed tax.
Yes.
Do you feel it's appropriate to ask them to pay back what Sal's average is, right, Al? Or Sal, how did you state that?
Yeah, so they give us an average based off the revenue, because they know that the nightly rate fluctuates throughout the year. So the system will take an average throughout each month, and then it actually spits it out in a spreadsheet and just gives us, here's the average nightly rate for each quarter, and then here's what we think they made each quarter. And that was the total I received, so.
I think rather than deciding an amount right here, to Mr. Piontek's point, if we just, amend it to coming to an agreement so we can look at it as a whole, because it's the first time
One of the,
we've heard an amount or anything on it, I think it's only fair to take a look.
one of the things that I talked to Sal a little bit about last week is we can give them what the program says the average would be, but if they have actual data that shows what the actual rental was, we could use that in lieu of that estimate. So that's one of the reasons why I said I think we should probably sit down with them and try to work through that.
And there is typically a percentage late fee for any other short-term rental if they're behind. So that's all stuff we would talk to our business, our licensing office to figure out what that percentage is. I mean, so.
So what recommendation would you make for language?
Just
How to
that,
accomplish
that
this?
it be conditioned on agreement with the city on the past lodging tax.
I'd be in favor of what we're talking about. I don't think I'd stick them with a penalty. I think they're coming here to be compliant and unknowingly where we stand. I mean, maybe there was knowing, but I think if they come back into compliance and a percentage, what we work out would be sufficient to me. So,
That's what we're saying.
right. So to our council recommendation, I make a motion that we,
I think
Mark
Mark
already
did
made it.
already.
Seconded, yeah.
with the amendment,
Right.
second.
Okay. Further discussion or questions? Okay, go ahead, Sherry.
An ordinance granting a special use permit to utilize 335 Rand Street as a vacation rental in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Coulter?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes. We're only accepting this into the minutes.
No, this is
No,
voting on
this
the
is,
ordinance.
this is voting on the ordinance.
This is the ordinance.
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye. By your vote, it passes. Thank you.
Citizens' comments?
Does anyone in the audience like to come up and comment on anything? Okay.
Report of department heads. CMAC grant application, East 5th Street, South Point Road, Highway 100 intersection.
So as Charles is coming up here, we've had a discussion internally about, based upon the development that's taking place out there on East 5th Street, I believe there's a capacity of how many units out there, Sal?
191.
If they do build out that far. And at that portion, and what I'm talking about, does everybody understand which area I'm talking about on East 5th
I'm
Street?
pulling it up.
Thank you. So if you'll see, if you've driven by there, you've noticed that they've done some clearing out there and to go ahead and get the ground prepared. We've had a discussion about, there's been past discussions about this intersection at East 5th Street, South Point 100. And so in talking with Charles, we wanted to know if East West Gateway, when their next round of congestion mitigation air quality applications are due, that is the same application that we submitted for Rabbit Trail Drive and 100. And that if we submitted this, could we improve that intersection, especially what we feel is probably going to be needed, which would be, and it'll be up to the data to go ahead and show this what the improvements. But we're thinking at minimum, at least coming from to the south as you approach 100, dual lefts, and as well as a dedicated right that would go for westbound. I don't know about on the south side of the intersection so much, but at least at minimum that. But that's part of an application process that we have through East West Gateway. We just wanted, I asked Charles to go ahead and reach out to one of our consultants that we have that have helped us with getting the data, because those applications are not ones that we typically do without the assistance of a traffic engineering firm. And so we reached out to Crawford, Bunty, and Braymeyer. Charles did, and we're looking at trying to get an application together that would be submitted by February
8th.
February 8th. So we don't really have a lot of time. But we talked about this a couple of weeks ago and felt that it was something that, let's see if we can go ahead and get funding for this, if we submit this, and then we would find out by August, I think.
Yeah.
Well, by May, we would, I think May
Oh,
is
yeah, May,
usually
you
when
kinda
they,
have an idea.
when they say whether or not you're on the list for recommended approval. But I will warn you that there will be some, we met this afternoon. We will have to go ahead and look at our long-range plan for our transportation sales tax to move some dollars around in order to accommodate this. But we do feel that with that development and with the intersection the way it is today, that we're probably going to be seeing problems down the road. And even if you do, you're talking about construction that would be 3 years in advance, 3 or 4 years in advance.
Construction would be like
Yeah,
28.
28, so.
Charles, just two questions. One, so you're talking about adding 2 lanes southbound. So adding 2 lanes, how far back on South Point Road will that have to go to start that?
On Fifth Street there?
You mean
yeah,
East Fifth?
Yes, excuse me, on Fifth Street.
You know.
I mean, you could probably start getting in that right turn lane. Yeah, right where Sal's got it, you know.
Right, probably right where the right-of-way
Right
gets
there.
wider.
Okay.
I mean, you might have to go back a little bit.
Start back there for the extra 2 lanes.
And there might be potential to go all the way back, you know, kind of add that lane coming off the Willows there.
The other question I had, by the way, I certainly think it's needed. Yeah, there's times, I'm sure everybody's seen it, where they're backed up at that light over the hill, down the hill. The other question I had is that development, do they plan any exits from that development onto 0100? Or are they all coming out on Fifth Street?
They're all coming out on East Fifth.
Yes.
Yeah, if you look at
Two-
their creek,
There's a creek there.
Potentially
Yeah, I know
two
there's a creek. I didn't
entrances
know
and
if they
exits.
were gonna jump it somewhere. That's
Well,
supposed to be a lot dumping out on,
So the preliminary plat showed 2
Yeah.
entrance exits out of the development
On the-
that will be added, but they go
Fifth
directly to Fifth Street.
yep, one here and one at the existing home, correct?
No,
Probably
actually,
north
both
of
of
it,
them are
yeah.
north.
Right there.
On the other side of the hill, yeah.
I hope that's enough.
So,
Well, that's part of it. That's why you hire them to go ahead and determine traffic counts, what the needed, you know, what you're gonna need to
yep,
see
they'll
as far
analyze
as.
all that.
They can go ahead and provide us with that data to arm us to go ahead and make a good application with East-West Gateway.
And then with that, we were going to apply for a block grant for Fifth Street as well, from Highway 100 to International. Kind of put in some sidewalks and address any other concerns like that, so.
So you're saying you'll know something by May for this project? Is that what you guys said?
Yes, you typically at least get the staff recommendations at that time.
Will you know something about Rabbit Trail in May then? If
Oh, we know, we've got,
You guys already,
we've, we've got that approved. It's just now we're in the selection stage. There's a couple of things that you guys, so that one's already been approved by East-West Gateway. So you're good for that one. This one, I don't know how much right-of-way you would need. It depends on what the design comes back. But the good news, if you look down at that intersection with Highway 100, there's quite a bit of right-of-way that's already there. You do have some utilities that you're going to have to go ahead and relocate, right there, where Sal had it,
Everything should be able to be done right where the where Sal was just at.
Yep.
on either
Everything should
side.
be able to be done on that side of the road and add a lane and a turn lane.
Yeah, no acquisition required.
Hopefully, that's what we're looking at. Not like where Rabbit Trail's got, you're trying to relocate a roadway and you're gonna have to work with a couple of property owners over there. But until you get the final design, we don't know.
If we get one more truck to run through the cinema, we won't have to have a problem at all.
Well,
I guess we're too far to say anything about crossing the creek and having another exit on the old highway. We're too far along in that. I mean,
Well, they
it's
don't
already-
own-
it's already been-
I don't, well, put it this way, Yeah,
don't own this property.
They don't own that property, but two, I don't know that your subdivision code would require a third access point.
It's one access point per 100 units, and they're less than 200, so they have
Right.
two.
Well, across the creek, that's Langendorf across the creek.
That's one yes, that's one of the property owners if you went that direction.
It'd be building a bridge and not just a,
Yeah, you'd be building a bridge.
We'd have to, yeah.
We can't build a bridge over Highway 100 right now, so let's not make someone else build a bridge over top of it to get there.
I think though the concern obviously is,
I understand their concerns.
yeah, Fifth
Well,
Street Road's gonna be.
I would like to see the developer, at least put a sidewalk in the whole stretch of their property on that side whenever they're, done. Just to get them off that hill that are gonna be walking on that east side, down to our new bridge over the creek, at
Can I ask
least.
And then walk on our street to get to the trail?
Our street is the trail down there.
Right, walk on the street to get to the trail.
Well, I mean, a piece of the connection to the riverfront is using Old Highway 100. It's marked for the bike trail right there. It's not a sidewalk there either, but that's future thoughts as well.
Correct, but to my point is that we're gonna make a developer put a sidewalk up, and we don't have a sidewalk along Old 100 to get to the trail.
Well, and yeah, I think part of that speaks to the block grant too, for at least getting along Fifth Street there in some form or fashion. I thank Charles for taking a look at this, because we've had a lot of discussions from folks over in the ward there that, they're concerned about it, and as we are, because already get phone calls about car wash in January and how things get plugged up there already. So the fact that we have some right of way there to work with and we can go after this, I think is the right thing to do.
The property owners, if we have to get the right of way there, is the car wash the only property owner you're talking about?
No, you'd have the other side if you did need right away. I mean, it just depends on the level of improvements that get designed. I think it's a little too early to guess that.
Yeah, potentially just the car wash, but it could be the east side of the street as well, so the hotel there and that.
I think it's the right thing to do. We're going with a CMAQ application. We're heading in the right direction. Most cases, we let this build and then we look at the problem afterwards. At least there's some forefront to this, and we're looking into it. We're doing the right thing by getting a CMAQ grant, and we'll know in May if we are on the list or not.
Correct.
Then we go from there.
Okay.
For sure.
Good job, Charles.
We'll have resolutions at the next council meeting for these and a couple other grants, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Charles.
We do have a second item under reported department heads. Sean has got a letter. It's for their insurance renewal. I think we gave you the information a couple weeks ago with regards to Schrepfer that provides our health care. And so we do need to have this letter accepted and approved into the minutes, so.
Thank you.
It is. I figured I'll get marked. There you go.
how'd the meeting go with the employees about this?
Fine. We only had one meeting.
Yes,
Shauna
we
had one.
did.
Go ahead.
So we did have one meeting with the employees. We offered it in person here at council chambers, and we also offered it via Zoom link so they could log in from anywhere. We also recorded it and then shared that with the employees so they could watch it from home. Their spouse or significant other could watch it. So we have it available on our employee benefits portal that they can look at, along with a PowerPoint as well. Good evening, council, by the way. Mayor and council, thank you for your time this evening. Tonight's letter is just reiteration of what we spoke about on December 4th. And at that time, as you were aware, we were still working to get those numbers down as low as possible to be able to provide our employees the high quality, lowest cost possible insurance that we can. And what I've mentioned here in this letter is the outline of what we are doing going forward to make that happen with Shrepfer Insurance working really hard to help us get those renewals to a reasonable rate for our employees. We are presenting and recommending that we stay with Anthem Blue Cross for our medical insurance. As you recall, that came back at a 24% increase, proposed renewal, and Scott with Shrepfer, along with his creative team, and with Anthem and working with us, were able to get that down to 9.36% increase, with keeping the same level of coverage and a modest increase to employees that have dependent coverage. We are keeping the cost to the employee-only cost the same. The city is generously, as you all mentioned at December 4th, keeping that where our employees, that coverage stays about at 98% of the premium. That is for our medical insurance. So we made some changes to the deductible, but that will not affect their out-of-pocket and their premium cost. If you have, for example, the highest level, which is a buy-up option for family, is going up about $20 a paycheck, and that is the most that is going up for any employee, would be that $20 per paycheck if they have family coverage on that buy-up option. Most were between $7 and $15 per pay period. That is our medical insurance. The second paragraph there talks about our ancillary products, which are things like dental, vision, life insurance. We are recommending that we move the dental and the life insurance policies from Equitable over to Lincoln Financial. If we do that, we will be able to secure no cost increase and 2-year rate guarantees. So that is the goal, to keep that rate the same and lock it in for 2 years. Then our vision insurance, we got a 50% increase, and so we moved that at Scott's recommendation. We will move that to principal, and that would be only about a 15 to 18% increase, but in the paycheck that looks about 58 cents more for employees. Vision is employee covered only. The city does not pay any portion of that. And then the other benefits that we have, which are worksite benefits, there's no increase to that, and we're recommending to stay our flexible spending account with iSolved, and there's no increase to the employee. They did have a small 6% increase on fees, which is pretty common, but
So
those
how
are
many-
the costs.
How many, I want to say policies, it's not the right word, but did they have now, and now they're going to have more with the dental, the vision, and the life, and all that? So, I mean, is it, seems to me like it's getting harder for the employees to understand what's going on?
No, it's still the same number of coverages. It's just now they have more carriers.
Yes.
And we've fluctuated through my tenure here in the last 6 years.
It just depends on what the numbers come back.
Sometimes
Try
we
to keep the rates low.
join them together, and sometimes we split them apart. We do have an online benefits portal called Employee Navigator that's very user-friendly. In fact, I only have about 12 employees that have not completed their online enrollment as of today, and the deadline is tomorrow. I think that's pretty good out of about 122 people. We help them. I made appointments with the employees, and we'll go through and sit down with them one-on-one and explain their benefits to them. It's really simple, and when it's face-to-face, it's a lot easier for them to understand. Some don't have email still yet, or they don't have a computer at home, so they'll make an appointment with me, sit down, and we do it on my computer. So it's Scott did a really great job in presenting it to the employees as well. There's a PowerPoint presentation that was shared to all employees as well. They could take that home, look through it. If they had questions, come back. So we have all those resources in place to help employees make sure that they understand their benefits.
That's basically my question, yeah. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So Anna,
Yes, sir.
other than these 12, and you don't know yet if they're going to come around, I guess my question is how many of the staff with these increases are still going to be signing up?
Everyone.
Everyone?
Yeah, I have not had anyone express to me that the 9% was too much and they weren't going to continue. I have had, and I wanted to share with you, many, many, many compliments on the city doing what it's done and agreeing to keep our benefits at the level they are, because we understand that in public employment, the benefits are really a big draw. That's where we, for recruitment and retention, it's super important that we have that in our arsenal of things to offer, because maybe we can't keep up with certain salary studies as we're in the midst of, but the benefits have been something that the employees overwhelmingly tell us all the time, that they are sticking around for those benefits. They are top-notch, and even Scott will tell you in his 200 clients plus, we're one of the only that offers a net $0 deductible plan for the cost that we charge our employees and the cost sharing that the city does to help keep those benefits high and keep good quality employees working here in our community.
So do we need to take any action on this?
You just need a motion, a second to accept in the minutes.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Wessel, second by Holtmeyer. Any further discussion?
Only a thank you to Shauna and Scott, because starting with 24 and getting down to close to 9 is tough to do in this day and age.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Scott did a nice job of finding.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for your support.
Thanks, Shauna.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Shauna.
I believe we've got one more report that's not listed on your agenda. Wayne's going to give you an update on some improvements down there at the boat ramp.
Evening, Council. Late last week, I was made aware of, I had a couple an email and a phone call about the boat ramp at Riverfront Park. One of the two said there was boulders at the end of the boat ramp, and so myself and Charles and Tony and Chad all went down. We had a meeting already down there, and we stopped to look at it. We didn't see any boulders at the end of the boat ramp per se. And then I returned the voicemail that I had, and I talked to a gentleman, and when they said it was at the end of the boat ramp, it wasn't like on the concrete or just right there at the water's edge. They were talking about stuff in the water. And so once you get your boat trailer in there a good ways, there's boulders, rocks, cinder blocks, trash, I'm told. The man that I spoke to, and I can't remember his name right now, had some pictures from last year that he was going to try to get off his phone when the river dropped to -2. Right now it's almost at -1, or it might be a little over -1 now. To see, he said in particular it was worse on the west side of the boat ramp, but all over in general. And so Tony, and there's a couple potholes at the end in the concrete that's out of the water that Tony's crew is going to fill this week probably with concrete. And then at some point this week, they're going to go down, street department will go down and get a mini excavator and poke around in the water and see if we can find any of this trash and debris that people are talking about. They said that they're always fearful that when they back their trailer in there, they might pop a tire.
There's some drop-offs. When you back a trailer in, once in a while, it will drop off, and, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
So, with it being like this, I mean, when the river's normal, it's not a problem. But when it
Right.
gets like this, there's some drop-offs. You can drop a trailer off down there and have a hell of a time getting it out sometimes. Something else I see down there, and while the river's low, is that everything that drains from, I guess, Fifth Street down to the riverfront comes through those big drains down there, and you can see them when you're walking the riverbed down there right now. Every one of those 2-foot or 3-foot drains coming down through there has got a pile of wash, everything that come off the city streets in the river. You can see that it's like their own little island, each one of them. You can see it real well right now. I don't know if there's anything that can be done with that. I'm not saying remove it. I'm just saying move it on the bank or something like that. If you got time, I mean, you're not going to get a better situation than right now to do anything down there. I know we can't remove it, but you could move it to the bank a little bit more, and you'll see each one of those drain pipes. You'll see a little island that's about 3 foot higher than anything else down there, because everything else is a rock bottom, solid rock bottom. If something can be done with some of that, I'm sure the boaters would love it. But I mean, it all comes off our city streets, and it's right there.
Now, 11, 12 years ago, we talked about this. Actually, you brought it up to me. And at that time, we had to get a permit.
You do.
Through the Corps.
If you get in the river, you're going to
Good
have
for
to.
2 years, once you get it. That's what it was then.
I don't know that that's the case now, Charles. Do you know?
Not typically that long, 6 months.
Okay, well, it was then. That's the number I remember. But I knew we had to get a permit for the Corps to do it then.
Mhm.
And it didn't get done in time, water came up then, you know, but it did, it needed it that long ago, it's only gotten worse.
Yeah. I'm not saying you have to remove it. I'm just saying just move it around. While you're there. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we can check it out, see what we can do. I think, deal with the end of the boat ramp first and then take a look at that and see. I know we're expecting some rain. The river will probably come up a little bit, next week, probably with all this rain we're supposed to get. But then I imagine since we're just starting winter, it'll drop back down. Maybe as low as last year, if not lower. So, yeah, we can take a look at it. I just wanted to make you aware. I didn't know if anyone was getting calls. Like I said, I'd gotten an email and a call on the same day or right about the same day. And so we went down there and checked it out. And so.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thanks.
Congratulations on getting the grant, too. It's nice.
Ordinances and resolutions. An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a preventative maintenance agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Evapar for routine maintenance on all city generators.
Patke.
Introduced by Patke.
Good evening, Council. This is a resolution to get another service agreement for all the preventative maintenance on generators citywide. The current one expires at the end of 2023. Last one was 3 years as well.
I notice in the list that obviously the one is considerably larger. Where is that one, that WWTP?
That is down
Treatment
at the
plant.
wastewater treatment plant.
That's the waste-
That's the big one
wastewater
down at
treatment.
wastewater.
There you
Yep.
go. Okay, that makes sense.
Kind of necessary.
Considerably larger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
Yes.
If there's no questions, I'll make a motion.
Okay.
No,
Motion
it's,
by Heidrich.
it's an ordinance.
It's an ordinance.
It is an ordinance. Okay.
Somebody
Other
introduce it?
discussion?
I did.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jeff did. Any other discussions about this, you guys? Okay, go ahead, Sherry.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a preventative maintenance agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Evapar for routine maintenance on all city generators. Coulter?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
By your vote, ordinance 7A passes. B, please.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of an agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Egan Building Group LLC for construction improvements for the Public Works Office remodel and amend the 2024 budget.
Patke.
Introduced by Patke.
We've had a committee in place for quite some time to review some of these smaller projects that we've got that have some of the capital improvement sales tax funding as part of how the projects will be funded. And so the committee, we talked with them. These are some improvements that would be out at the Public Works Building. I believe the last time that building was, there's not really been any improvements in there, and since that building was built in 1992. So it's been considerably, we've pushed it back in the budget year after year, to be quite honest. Kevin and Tony have been patient, along with their staffs, to go ahead and realize that, we had other projects, and sometimes we just had to push this one back. So this year was the time that we wanted to go ahead and include it. There's a letter within your packet. Funding for the project itself will come from your general revenue fund of $80,000, and then $65,000 would come from the capital improvement sales tax. But this contract would be for Egan to go ahead and oversee the project, design it, put it out to bid, and then oversee the construction of it after we select a contractor.
What number did that come in at?
Pardon?
Did we
Excuse me?
negotiate that number?
We did negotiate that number. It's what it is within your packet.
Yeah.
145.
Wait, can you tell us, wait, but just ballpark what it is, or Tony, somebody tell us
owners?
ballpark?
What the improvements?
Oh, yeah. So the fire alarm system is not working at all in the building. So new fire, that's probably one of the largest expense items, about $15,000. Fire alarm system. New welcome desk when you walk in where Pam sits, and it'll drop down so it has ADA access. Ceiling grid, painting, flooring, some new office furniture, new aluminum front door, new lights, and new sprinkler heads. And I'm sure some other smaller stuff I'm forgetting.
Yeah, thank you.
So no dividing of the office, of the main building, of the main front office? No additional walls or anything like that?
No.
Okay, we originally thought there was gonna be some separation of offices there.
Restroom improvements at all?
Minor grab bars and stuff like that. We're gonna reuse the toilets and
Other questions? Sherry, go ahead, please.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of an agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Egan Building Group LLC for construction improvements for the Public Works Office remodel and amend the 2024 budget. Coulter?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Heidrich? Holtmeyer?
Aye.
By your vote, 7B passes. 7C, please.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the City of Washington, Missouri to accept the quote from East Tech Flow Controls, Inc. for the purchase of 12 iTracker cellular units.
Heidrich.
Introduced by Heidrich.
This is a request after the discussion we had at the workshop about proceeding with this project and moving forward with it, getting the trackers in, get them in place, and beat the rain. That's what it is.
And the money for these is going to come out of the money that would have been spent for the slip lining anyway?
Yes,
part of
because
that
this is
project.
kind of ties all together with the slip
Ah.
lining, so yes.
Further questions? Go ahead, Joe.
How long will it take to get these items?
As soon as I get the PO, they have all the material, we're buying it directly from the factory, so they have everything ready. So we're gonna be hitting the ground running. They already have a map of our sewer system, ready to start planning it, so we're just waiting for approval, and as soon as I call them tomorrow and say it was approved, we're hitting the ground running, so.
Do you expect them by January then? Is what you're
Yes.
saying? Thank you.
Awesome.
No further questions? Sherry.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the City of Washington, Missouri to accept the quote from East Tech Flow Controls, Inc. for the purchase of 12 iTracker cellular units. Coulter?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
By your vote, ordinance 7C passes. 7D, please.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a parking license agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Waste Management of Missouri, Inc.
Patke.
Introduced by Patke.
So this is taking our normal lease agreement we have with Waste Management, and basically the changes are, instead of it being a 12-month renewal, we're going to make it a 24-month agreement, and then changing the unit price per month from $35 to $50 a unit. So.
No comments or questions? Okay, go ahead.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a parking license agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Waste Management of Missouri, Inc. Coulter?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
By your vote, ordinance 7D passes. E, please.
An ordinance amending Schedule 4, no parking at any time of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Holtmeyer.
And this is extending no parking for the crosswalk that's there at Hancock across 3rd Street by the Mercy's temporary parking lot that they have there. Concerns came up with so many people crossing there at a mid-block, so extending that no parking 75 feet so you have better visibility of pedestrians standing in the crosswalk.
One other item that's not in your packet or whatever that they had asked for, that was at the traffic committee, the Mercy is going to pay for a couple of extra signs or whatever for pedestrians crossing that are be lighted, especially during this time of the year when it's dark in the morning when a lot of the employees go park there. And so they are going to be paying for those, for the installation of those and the maintenance of those. So
Are they going to extend that parking lot at some point, or, are they just waiting on something else, or?
I think their grand plan would be to also put in some additional parking. This was just like they saw the need that's been sitting there for a long time, and they felt like they had to go ahead and do something, but we have not sat down and gone over a grand plan. They have requested a meeting in the near future to go ahead and talk about that. But I think that's what the future plan is for additional parking.
I see they've got cones out there now to where they're, restricting parking now, where we're gonna paint it yellow at some point, but, yeah, I kinda thought when they were gonna put in that parking lot, they were gonna do the whole thing. I didn't know.
No, it's just, yeah, it was just a portion of that. They were very clear about that, but I think this was just a phase one, if you will, and future phases will have more parking.
Very good.
It helped to get the cars off the street by the neighbors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was the quick
Yeah,
fix.
but they're still parking on the street.
I know.
Well, most of those employees, I assume, probably gonna be the ones parking over there. Patients aren't gonna, they're gonna.
No, that's.
They'll go to the quickest place that they can.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm right there every day, and.
Yeah.
They're still parking where they always park, but a lot of them are parking on that lot to give them more room for the doctor's lot, and I appreciate that.
Other questions? Go ahead, Sherry.
An ordinance amending Schedule 4, no parking at any time of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri. Coulter?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Heidrich? Holtmeyer?
Aye.
By your vote, ordinance 7E passes. F, please.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a development agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Clover Valley Properties, LLC.
Patke.
Introduced by Patke.
Within your packet is the development agreement that we've been able to go ahead and negotiate with Clover Valley Properties LLC. This will serve quite a few things to benefit the city. One is a connection, east-west connection from Rabbit Trail Drive over to Earthcrest. This was identified in your 2013 comprehensive plan as a transportation item that the city wanted to go ahead and see. We certainly believe that it will help with the amount of traffic that you see up at Rabbit Trail Drive and Highway 100, that all of those homes that are south all the way down to Beaker Road will have another access to go ahead and get into Phoenix Center, where they won't have to drive up to the, what is the roadway up there that's next to the?
Phoenix Center Drive.
Is it Phoenix Center Drive? Thank you. That they won't have to go all the way up there to go ahead and make a right to go into the development. They can go ahead and get access this way. Also, within this would secure your lot for the future fire station. And so that's lot 231A. So they would transfer that to the city. They would also dedicate the 50-foot wide right-of-way, Foxcrest Drive, as I said earlier, from the connection of Rabbit Trail Drive to Earthcrest. Clover Valley will construct both street and sewer extensions. Clover Valley will also dedicate an approximately 1,450-foot by 20-foot wide sewer easement to the city, and the city will transfer Lot 8B of Phoenix Center 2, Plat 10 to Clover Valley. That's the 2.08 acres that's off of South Point Road that we jointly owned with Franklin County up until a few years ago. And then finally, the city will pay Clover Valley $166,344. Any questions?
On that Exhibit D, it
Yes.
has the layout of, are those all apartments and condos?
It's not been approved yet, or has even come through as a development. That's been a kind of a sketch plan, loose sketch plan, if you will, as to what, if you'll recall, we had public hearings on that in the past, that was rezoned to R3 multifamily. So depending upon how they approach the city, and I don't even know exactly who the entity that may be approaching the city, they could come in and it may be just a matter of building permits, or if they need to go through another process, then it would go through planning and zoning and come back to you. So that exhibit is there mainly to go ahead and show how the connection is going to be made. And also down there at the bottom of that is the bridge that you see that will also have to be, that's currently, I don't know what the completion of design is. Are we? Okay, but it's close to, it's like close 80 to 90% completed for design.
And Joe, those, on that drawing, on the far right, there's 5, remember, that's how we went, those were R1s.
Yeah.
And then the next level down was R2s, and then goes down to R3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that exhibit is there mainly to go ahead and reflect the right-of-way that would be dedicated as well as the sewer easement.
That's the way the road will look,
Yes,
No matter
something similar to that, yes.
no matter what's on each side of it.
That's right. And the other thing is just keeping the access limited to where you don't have driveways that are coming directly off onto the street. What you see is kind of similar to that development, to where you'll have access points for them to get into, but not have a series of flipping those, like, you know, if they put a 4-unit, that the driveways are all coming straight off of that roadway. That's not what we want. So that's also mentioned within the development agreement.
Any questions for Tim? Tim, do you have something?
Huge thanks to Darren and staff, John Nilgis and Charles, for their backdoor work and background work of all the time and effort that they put in this. John started with kind of this plan originally. Charles got left picking up the pieces of it and moving forward with it, and Darren doing the negotiations. But a job well done, and a lot of work that was put into it. So thank you, Darren and staff, for all the work that you put into it. We appreciate it.
Is the plan to have Egan also do the firehouse?
No.
No. As a matter of fact, since you mentioned that, we just recently opened up, we submitted requests for qualifications. We received submittals from 9 different firms. Our committee that consists of Mike and Jeff that are on that committee, we all met and reviewed, the mayor, myself, Tim, and Mark Scornia. All sat there and reviewed those. We have a couple of firms that we've got targeted for interviews right the first week of the first of the year. So we'll be coming to you with that at a later date. A lot of interest.
Further questions? Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Sherry.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a development agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Clover Valley Properties, LLC. Coulter? Yes. Patke?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye, finally.
Hydrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Hooray. Aye, your votes, guys. 7F passes. Thank you.
Doing that since 2013. haven't you?
Goodness gracious.
This has been going on for a long time.
Gosh.
Been a while.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of an agreement to cost share facilities extension to the Richard Oldenburg Industrial Park by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and the Washington, Missouri Development Corporation.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Holtmeyer.
Thank you. So if you remember, in October, you all approved a development agreement to extend the facilities for natural gas out to Oldenburg. There's an agreement between Spire and Precoat Metals. And as part of that agreement, $500,000 in ARPA funds would be allocated towards that project. This doesn't change any of that, but this allows the transfer of those funds to 353 Redevelopment Corporation, who then can fulfill their agreement with Spire, because 353, who owns the park, is actually the one that has the agreement with Spire, and so this just allows that transfer.
Did they go out for bids on that yet?
I don't know if they've specifically gone to bids. I know they've begun ordering equipment and design and all that, but as of last Wednesday, they were still on schedule.
Good deal.
Further questions? Go ahead, Sherry.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of an agreement to cost share facilities extension to the Richard Oldenburg Industrial Park by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and the Washington, Missouri Development Corporation. Coulter?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Wessels? Hydrich? Holtmeyer?
Aye.
By your vote, ordinance 7G passes.
Commission, Committee, and Board reports. Washington Historic Preservation Commission Annual Report.
This is just the annual report we are required to submit to the State Historic Preservation Office to keep us as a certified local government, a CLG. And Jamie puts this together for us every year, so I want to thank her and commend her for a good job every year. I know the state uses us as an example of a thorough report that other communities can follow, so keeping us in good standings.
Sal, just a question about, I'm going to say 15 years ago, some of the commission, as I recall, 353, I know the chamber and maybe some of the other city, IDA and so forth, but got away from the idea of verbatim minutes. This was a long report, and somebody went through a lot of work, no question about that. But is there something that specifies they have to report in that fashion? Most of the time, like even our own city council meetings now, we get a summary. It's not verbatim of everything that's said.
Not by rule. I mean, I think that's just how Jamie takes the minutes. But also, we put any article pertaining to projects downtown, historic, any certificate of review they do, the certificate, the application, the actual certificate of review, the comments are put into the report. And if the paper writes an article about that project, that gets put into the report as well. So it can get lengthy, and that's why the state says it's a very thorough report, so.
And that's 4 meetings a year.
I'm just
Well,
trying to
they
save.
end up needing more than that.
I'm just trying to save somebody a whole lot of, I don't know. Like I said, we did away with it in a number of other
Other boards that, do not have to go ahead, but I mean, like I said, that's between her and that board, and, yep.
But also, the Historical Preservation Commission requires the annual report in order to stay in compliance, and therefore, some of this is necessary, or all of it's necessary, as other boards are not. Because I asked the same question, why so much? But it's detailed for a reason, to stay in compliance.
Yeah, the Certified Local Government Program not only opens you up for historic preservation grants that we've used in the past, but also just a lot of trainings, virtual and in person, that our boards can use to learn more about best practices in historic preservation. So.
Yeah, it leads to a lot of grant opportunities. We wouldn't get a lot of grants if it wasn't for that.
Anything with our historic districts has to come from that.
Trying to make it easier on her.
Yeah.
We get it.
I mean, I think you can do that, just like I said.
Without doing verbatim.
Yeah, we have city council that are very, very important, and if somebody has to, they can go back to tapes or whatever. But to have somebody sit down and print out every word that's said here tonight, which is what used to be done, that gets a bit crazy.
Yeah, I can let her know.
Yeah.
Packet used to be that thick.
I'll bet.
Oh, my gosh.
All right.
It's that thick now, sometimes it's just not printed, Joe.
Before we recorded all the meetings too, so.
I need a motion to
So moved.
approve the report.
Second.
Motion by Bear, second by Patke. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's approved.
Preliminary plat approval, Stonebridge Development Phase 2.
All right. In addition to the annexation that was approved earlier tonight for Stonebridge, this is the preliminary plat that accompanies it. You can see here it's on the same area. And here is an actual zoomed-in version of that. The packet, the plat and packet shows Phase 1 and Phase 2, but outlined in gold is the actual Phase 2 here. 51 lots. To the south, this was already approved about a month or so ago. And the way that Vic and his development team works with their plats is to not, instead of doing a performance agreement and escrow up front, they submit improvement plans to our engineering staff. They're approved. They actually put the improvements in, then they come in for a final plat. Hence why you see a lot of the work already going out there. So none of these lots are recorded yet, but once the work is done, they can come back for a final plat. For the plat itself, it meets all the minimum requirements of our code. One of the big ones actually Sarah had pointed out was, when you have a stub like that to future development, it can't be less. It has to be less than 450 feet. So they've had the intersection in a good spot for fire access turnaround until they do come forward with a future extension. Which, speaking of the bridge in Foxcrest, that's where this is heading to connect to that new road that was just approved with that development agreement. The only comments at the Planning and Zoning Commission, they did recommend approval of the plat under the condition that the street names are revisited. Not so much because they were too common with anything else, but because John Boardman pointed out that with having this like Lane Spring crossing the intersection here and Nats View crossing the intersection, you should really only have the same street name if it's a through street, not if it dead ends at a cul-de-sac, so that someone would be confused, especially in an emergency. You get an address for Lane Spring, you don't know if you should take a left or a right. And so before the final plat, the applicant will have to submit a new street name, presumably for just this cul-de-sac, and then one of these cul-de-sacs as well. And that way, they can all be complete individual names. And then just for the general area we're talking about here, this 15, this is the East-West Parkway leg that is under construction. And then in between here, this is kind of where it's at. If you remember, this number 11 was where it was back in 2013. This map's 10 years old. We have since moved that.
With your development agreement
Actually,
earlier.
it's ironic that that's what happened tonight, but this number 11 is now right here connecting 11 to 12, and that's what was approved tonight. So this plat is kind of right in the middle of those two, filling in the gaps. So, long time coming.
One other item, Sal was right, it meets all of the codes except one thing.
Oh, I am sorry. We
Go
brought
ahead.
that up today.
You can
The code requires a maximum grade of 10%, and then anything above that has to be approved by Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council. So it's a variance not to the Board of Adjustment, but to City Council. And so in this plat, there are portions of these streets that do exceed 10%, but do not exceed 12. That actually has been very common throughout the last so many plats in this area. All of Weber, Overlook at Weber Estates had that as well because of the topography. So P&Z did talk about that. That was mentioned. The code requires it to be noted on the plat, the final plat, which it is on this one. And so they did recommend approval of that. And just for the record, Charles and I talked today, we're going to come up with a code amendment that allows that to be codified with special approval from the engineering department without having to get a variance. Because there are special topographic situations where it makes sense to do 12% without it being a safety issue. And as long as it's approved at site plan where the fire department has a chance to review as well, we don't think it necessarily needs to be a variance. But for this case, until we do that, wanted to bring that up today so you're aware that this plat, when the final plat is approved, it will be noted that it has a 12% allowance as a max instead of 10.
Okay. Further questions or discussion? Need a motion to approve.
Accept in the minutes, so moved.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Bear, second by Patke. Further discussion.
Mayor's report?
Okay. Don't we need to
never
vote?
voted on all of it.
Yeah, we need
Oh, I
to
thought he
vote.
did already. I'm sorry.
No,
My
we gotta vote.
apologies.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Hurry.
Motion passes. There we go.
There we go, there we go.
Vic sat here all night, you better get that passed.
Sorry, Vic.
I want to see that in a minute.
My apologies.
That wasn't
Now mayor's
intentional, Vic.
report.
All right. Next month, we have not one, but two Tuesday meetings due to holidays, yes. So the first council meeting will be on Tuesday, January the 2nd, and the second will be on Tuesday, January 16th, due to Martin Luther King holiday. Other than that, I don't have anything, guys. Nice job, everybody.
City administrator's report?
Just a couple items. We already mentioned one of them was the RFQs that we received for the fire station design, so I already briefed you on that with Tim here. Another item is we moved forward. We had requests for qualifications for firms to do our salary study and benefits review. We received, I believe, five. Thank you. 5. And we put together a committee to go ahead and review those. Jeff and Al were both on the committee along with Shauna, Sherry, myself, the mayor and myself. We have reached out to one that stood out above the rest, and we received a proposal today. We're hoping that we will have that contract in front of you at the first meeting in January, if not the second meeting in January. So it did come in, appears that it'll be under budget of what we had budgeted, so that's good news. Yeah.
No way.
Wow. Saving the city money?
We're beating them up. There you go. No, actually, but anyway, they did come in, and hopefully, like I said, Sean and I got to sit down and go over that yet this week and look at that, but going to try to get that to you as soon as possible, because their timeline on that study would be 4 to 5 months. We'd like to go ahead and have that available by May, which is about the time we'll start putting together budget numbers for the following year. So, trying to keep that on track. Finally, we've scheduled a meeting with the executive. The mayor and I have got a meeting, as well as Chief Armstrong, with the executive director of Life's River. That's the homeless shelter that's proposed out on Highway A. Homeless shelter may not be the term that they want to go ahead and use, so I apologize if I used the wrong term. But just wanted to go ahead and sit down and meet with the gentleman and see what their goals are and when they're going to get started, et cetera, and then talk to them about some needs that we see with the city and dealing with the homeless population. So that's all I have.
Council comments?
Charles, did you have a chance to get anywhere on Stonecrest today on the recycling issue?
Yeah, they sent me back a picture, and it basically showed that their bins went all the way to the street. So,
Do they have that on the camera on their?
they have a camera, and it shows that they went by at 10:30, and the bins were in the middle of the driveway. So.
It could have been the wind pushing the bins too, because
pretty windy.
I know these people, and
Very windy.
I know they're pretty adamant about getting their recyclables out. The one address and straight across. Mm-hmm. Will they possibly run by there? Can they possibly run by there tomorrow, you think? Yeah, because I guarantee you the wind pushed them, because their driveway is kind of a hill anyway. It goes back down too, so. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Merry Christmas to all.
And to all.
We do have one item in executive session.
City Attorney's Report, public vote on whether or not to hold a closed meeting to discuss personnel, legal, and real estate matters pursuant to Section 610.021 RSMO 2000. Coulter? Yes. Packey? Sure. Bear?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Hydrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Be quick.
By your vote, motion passes.
Of course. Oh, you had a lot.
Go to it.